Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 367 based on novel. So let's start. With a sound, Xiao Yan jumped over the lake water very easily and came to the courtyard house. This courtyard is towering like a temple, and there seems to be some unusual aura in it. Looking at the square building in front of him, Xiao Yan muttered to himself. For some reason, he saw the main hall in his eyes. At that time, his heart trembled for a while. This is extremely rare, but now that the arrow is on the string, Xiao Yang has no choice but to be careful. With a sound, Xiao Yang covered his body with holy flames, and immediately walked away from the main gate, gently pushing his palms open, directly opening the palace gate. Humans, we meet again. Just as the door was opened, an awe-inspiring smell spread out from the palace. That suffocation, even a battle-hardened veteran like Xiao Yang, felt a burst of blood. Aversion to cold. Gamma. Xiao Yang looked at it and found that there was nothing in the hall except Gamma. In the empty hall, only Gamma stood on a futon in the center of the hall, and the corners of his mouth appeared. A rare smile appeared. Just you? Xiao Yang asked in surprise. You shouldn't have come. Gamma stood up gently, and immediately a strange smell emerged from his dark green hair and dark green pupils. Your crimes are truly lunatic. Looking at the current Gamma, Xiao Yang also understood something, did not move, stood gently on the edge of the gate, and said, Not crazy, not crazy, we are not madmen. We have already made a huge contribution to the new attributes of mankind, even if we sacrifice ourselves. We are the pioneers, we are the guides of mankind. Hearing Xiao Yang's plain voice, it stimulated a certain fragile nerve in Gamma, his pupils shrank tightly, and his voice was extremely harsh towards Xiao Yang, roaring, his face is as ferocious as a violent beast. I don't know if your devil fruit will succeed in the end, but you are contaminated with a devilish aura. You will be annihilated by the great thousand worlds. You have no chance of surviving. Xiao Yang said, the basics of a devil. The characteristics are probably dark green evil hair and dark green pupils. Although Gamma also has this kind of power, the demon power in his body is probably less than 1%. There is also the most important point. Now that the devil's lair has been completely destroyed by the wandering angel Mekl, I am afraid that only the negligible devil power in Gamma and the two devil fruits behind him, otherwise the devil will completely disappear from this world, their years of research will all come to nothing. No, you are wrong. The division of power has never been divided into good and evil since ancient times. Every time a new attribute is born, blood will flow into a river, but as long as it is successful, it will be worth it. Because each new attribute appears, it will become a new era. Gamma suddenly laughed. But I advise you, you shouldn't come here, you should retire. We will meet again on the day of the final election, and then you will witness the birth of the most pure-blooded demon. The gloomy and ruthless laughter seemed to turn into bursts of magical sounds, stinging Xiao Yang's limbs, and Xiao Yang always felt that Gamma's words seemed to be for himself. Gamma's voice just fell, and the futon under Gamma's feet suddenly disappeared, a bottomless dark passage suddenly appeared, and then Gamma's figure also fell rapidly. The domain master of the endless fire domain. It seems that what the prince said is not false. Although he didn't catch the old guys like Lin Hong, it is still a gain. Let's capture it. Just when Gamma just disappeared, in the entire empty hall, dozens of powerhouses surrounded by blood flashed like ghosts from the void of the hall. The two 7-star fighting immortals, they really look down on me. At this moment, Xiao Yang's body tensed up involuntarily. If you don't want to die, just follow. Just as Xiao Yang was about to give his all, an evil voice appeared in Xiao Yang's mind. Gamma! Xiao Yang was shocked when he heard the words, but he looked at the passage that was about to be closed on the futon in the center of the hall, and looked at the killing team led by the two 7-star fighting immortals. Stuck in a futon. Damn! This Gamma destroys our good deed. Seeing that Xiao Yang escaped from the Longtan Tiger's den, the two 7-star fighting immortals cursed with resentment. Gamma has been imprisoned here since he came to the palace. Lin Fengya used it as a bait, but who would have thought that their conspiracy was actually seen through by Gamma? Forget it, below is the underground palace where the prince and many adults are stationed. Xiao Yang is just going to die. As soon as the words fell, the place returned to calm. Where is this? Xiao Yang followed Gamma and jumped directly into the mysterious passage of the futon. Although he temporarily escaped the killing of the two 7-star fighting immortals, this dark void made Xiao Yang feel awe-inspiring. www.mtlnovel.com. This is the underground palace. The end of this passage is Lin Fengya's bedroom. If you don't want to die, don't go to the end. The underground palace is full of underground palaces. There is Lin Fengya's ambition and conspiracy here. If you have the guts, then just go for it. It's also a test for you. Gamma's last voice fell, and there was only deathly silence in the space. It's inexplicable. Xiao Yan shook his head helplessly at Gamma's babbling words, but with the fire of holy flame in his palm, he directly cut out a weak passage through the dark passage, and directly entered other areas of the underground palace without looking back. On the other side, Gamma landed in the underground bedroom, and was immediately bound by a shadow and led him somewhere, but the corner of his mouth was still muttering to himself, Xiao Yang, I hope you don't disappoint me, devil fruit, but only for the strong. We are all servants of the devil, as long as a real devil can be born, even if the body and spirit are destroyed, I am not afraid. This is, where? Xiao Yang left the passage and immediately came to a narrow stone wall passage. The stone wall passage is 2 meters high and 2 meters long. It was just enough to accommodate one person to pass through. At this time, Xiao Yang walked through the stone wall passage with great difficulty. What Xiao Yang didn't expect was that this underground palace was filled with a very familiar aura, which Xiao Yang was familiar with. Soul Palace? For a while, Xiao Yang's heart was surging with huge waves, but after a brief hesitation, he also cautiously walked towards the underground palace. First, he was familiar with the route, and secondly, Xiao Yang also wanted to see, this Lin Feng, what is YA and Soul Hall preparing for? Extremely dark black fog, eerie ghost energy, bloody glow, and several auras filled the underground space, transforming this place into a demon processing factory, with awe-inspiring evil energy. At this time, Xiao Yang followed the stone wall passage and slowly explored this strange underground palace. Fortunately, Xiao Yang's body was the master of Fire Guard and a series of methods from Ghostface and Soul Flame, which made Xiao Yang feel like walking on the ground. It's a terrifying defense. I'm afraid this is where Lin Fengya's roots and elites are located. In just a short while, Xiao was able to figure out the underground palace. The power of the soul was released, and coupled with Xiao Yang's exploration, this underground palace was, to put it bluntly, an area filled with countless abdominal acupuncture points. Countless narrow stone walls extending in all directions seemed to connect the core of the underground palace, and deep within the palace, a breath of aura that made Xiao Yang shudder, was suffocating like a of death. The stone walls around these passages have been placed with extremely tyrannical seals. It seems that Lin Fengya is trying to cover up something. If I expect it right, there must be something shameful in the underground palace. Stay open and speak. Looking around, on the stone wall around the narrow passage, there is faintly revealing a terrifying black gas. The black gas light is like a long reptile, which skillfully covers the entire stone wall. With the help of this black gas, the holy flame and other forces in Xiao Yang's body protect his body and protect Xiao Yang. It's hard to come here, let's take a deep look. After a deep voice, Xiao Yang's eyes became deep, and he cautiously walked towards the depths of the palace. At this moment, Xiao Yang's Fairyland-level soul power was clearly showing, and he encountered many guards who were patrolling and responsible for vigilance along the way, but Xiao Yang skillfully avoided them. However, it is strange to say that every 100 meters in the narrow passage, there will be a huge enclosed space. In the space, drinks and food are readily available, and there are even several figures with tyrannical breaths appearing here. Ah, it's really a bad luck. I've been here for a long time, and I can't see the sun. How long will it take? Wait, it's election time in a few days, and then we can leave here. You said, what exactly is His Royal Highness preparing in the underground palace? Let's talk less about these words, but I remember that only the prince and a few elders can enter the depths of the underground palace. As for guards of our level, we don't have the right to enter at all. Let's do our own thing. The guard sat in the space and muttered softly. At this time, Xiao Yang hid in a stone wall and looked at the people in the space in front of him talking. Wang buzzing. Between the lights and flints, Xiao Yang's figure was like a ghost, and he easily knocked several people to the ground, and suddenly several people lost consciousness. This should be half the distance from the underground palace. It seems that we need to speed up. With a casual glance, Xiao Yang immediately hid the figures of several people, and immediately entered the dozens of space passages at the edge of the space. This passage made Xiao Yang the most uncomfortable, so Xiao Yang ignored it without thinking. Inside a stone hall in the underground palace. His Royal Highness, Xiao Yang from the Endless Fire territory came to the palace mansion, but he was not caught by the 2 7-star Dozian elders, and was strung into the underground palace, do you see? Inside the stone hall, the surrounding walls are splendid, and broken next to the bridge, Lin Fengya was sitting in a wheelchair, and a man in black robes guarded him behind him. Understood, let's go. Lin Fengya's eyes flashed with a hint of edge, and he waved. Xiao Yang in the endless fire territory, just a small force that doesn't enter the mainstream. Lin Fengya sat in a wheelchair, his eyes looked through the dark space under the broken bridge, and he didn't know where to look. It's not necessarily. The predecessors of our Soul Palace, the Soul Clan, have fought against the Xiao clan for hundreds of years, and they know the cunning of the descendants of the Xiao clan, so it must be guarded against. The shadow behind him sneered, but his voice contained an ecstatic smile. Okay. Lin Fengya thought for a while, and also summoned the elites and carefully formulated a plan, in order to strengthen the patrol and guard of the underground palace. Next, just wait for the election day with peace of mind. Lin Fengya made a series of precise arrangements and immediately laughed. In the underground palace, there are countless 6-star fighting immortals, and 7-star fighting immortals are not a few. With some special methods, even Xiao Yang cannot escape. We will take Angel and Xiao Yang. I just want the dominion of the Tianxing continent and the devil fruit. The two had a simple conversation. Prince Lin, then I wish us a happy cooperation. At this moment, He Ying also laughed. If Xiao Yang was here, he would find this guy, Sol Wuji. On the other side, after several hours of exploration, Xiao Yang also slowly came to the depths of the palace. Stop, please show your pass. Just as Xiao Yang had just strung out of the stone wall passage, several well-trained soldiers in uniform with spears in their hands pointed at Xiao Yang and said, "The vigilance here is beyond Xiao Yang's expectations. Is it a passport?" Xiao Yang gently hidden his palm from the sleeves, trying to find something. But what Xiao Yang didn't expect was that the guards here actually escaped Xiao Yang's soul perception. I'm afraid there must be some secret here. Xiao Yang's figure was as fast as a ghost, without any hesitation, like a bow and arrow separated from a crossbow, one arrow shot directly at Shaman. Someone broke into the temple, hurry up and report to the prince. Although these guys were all 6-star fighting immortals, they stumbled and fell to the ground when Xiao Yang suddenly exploded. Damn! This stone gate is too strong. Xiao Yang was helpless with this stone gate after he temporarily repelled everyone. Wang buzzing. Just when Xiao Yang hesitated, the amber flame soul fire suddenly ignited, and in an instant, Xiao Yang and Xiao Yang lightly turned into a black light, and mixed into the interior of the temple, that is, the core of the deep underground palace. Place. Boom. As soon as Xiao Yang disappeared, the pot exploded outside, but he could only be anxious because only a few elders and princes could open the stone gate. On the other side, Xiao Yang had just entered the back of the stone gate, only to feel that the sky was dark, and his position seemed to be transported somewhere by a certain spatial vortex. This is. Suddenly, when Xiao Yang stood quietly, because of the scene in front of him, Xiao Yang's cognition was refreshed, and Xiao Yang's heart was shocked. Penetrating through the stone gate, the inside is a strange space bounded by layers. The space seems to be blessed with countless imprisoned and sealed powers, and the aura of the space is extremely dignified. Among them, the most eye-catching is the giant creature suspended in the dark space, like a real dragon, a full 4. The breath of any giant dragon is enough to tear Xiao Yang apart easily. The huge dragon horns, the lifelike dragon scales all over the body, and the gently swaying dragon tail, so that the whole body of the dragon corpse has a totem-like existence, rendering the breath of the 4 dragon corpses to the peak. In addition to the dragon's mouth, the hot energy turned into a jet-black chain, and 4 chains burst out from the dragon's mouth, imprisoning a black air mass in its space. Dark and icy, and extremely tyrannical, the power revealed by the 4 dragon corpses alone is enough to truly move people. Looking at the chains of the 4-headed dragon's mouth, a stunned expression emerged in my heart. The black air mass was actually a coffin. Inside the coffin, there was a faint white weak body. With just one glance, Xiao Yang knew what it was. 4 dragon lock coffins. Also, in the coffin, there should be the soul of the emperor in the star continent today. Xiao Yang said with a dry mouth, word by word. In the dark and icy darkness, it was like a void without any stars. 4 dragon corpses locked the black coffin and appeared here in shock. Even Xiao Yang felt a strong feeling from it at this moment. Breath of death. Because of the cultivation of the dragon god transformation, Xiao Yang already has dragon blood more or less in his body, and now these 4 dragon corpses are dragons with real dragon blood. The dragon's blood in Yang's body boiled instantly, and endless killing intent emerged uncontrollably. Dragons are arrogant. No matter who obliterates their kind, it will lead to the assassination and revenge of the dragons. This is the pride in the bones of the dragons. So, the reason why the Emperor's illness is getting worse and worse was originally caused by this beast. At this moment, Xiao Yang's pupils suddenly tightened, staring at the extremely weak soul body in the black coffin, and shouted. The Emperor, covering many high-level leaders in the Star Continent, Xiao Yang had already kept it in his heart under Ji Xian's instructions, and now he can see through it at a glance. Four-dragon lock coffin, these methods are beyond the scope of what I can deal with, so let's retreat first. After a glance, Xiao Yang's eyes moved away from the moving four-dragon lock coffin. With fluctuations of this level, if he stepped into the attack range of the four dragon corpses, the dragon corpse would launch the most tyrannical attack on him. With that level of attack, unless the 8-star fighting immortal, even Xiao Yang would only be dejected. The end of the fall, not to mention the need to rescue the Emperor's soul, this task is beyond the scope of Xiao Yang's ability to handle. It seems that Lin Fengya's ambition is not small. This matter must be told to Qinshan as soon as possible. Xiao Yang's palms folded, and the space shuttle handprints containing the power of space were displayed by him. Is it a forbidden area? Xiao Yang said helplessly as there was no movement in the space shuttle fingerprint. Not good. Just as Xiao Yang was preparing for other movements, the four dragon corpses actually moved slightly, and a horrific shock emerged from Xiao Yang's body. I'm a little curious, what kind of courage made you break into my palace alone? The next moment, above one of the dragon corpses, at the head of the dragon, a laughter with many contemptuous laughter emerged slowly. Lin Fengya, Xiao Yang roared. My dear father has worked hard for so many years, and in a few days until the election day, he will be able to sleep forever. As a son, isn't it very considerate? You're actually here to sabotage my plan, it's really whimsical. At this moment, Lin Fengya looked at the dying emperor's soul in the black coffin, looked at Xiao Yang gloomily, and sneered. Soul Wuji, Elder Lin, Guardian Lin, Uncle Lin Wang. This guy, hand it over to you. Remember, what I want is death without proof. With a casual glance, Lin Fengya disappeared here, but at the same time, on the dragon heads of the four dragon corpses, the four figures carried Ling Tian's posture, emerged slowly. One 7-star fighting immortal has a perfect soul, and 3 7-star fighting immortals are in the late stage. Seeing the four figures appearing in front of him one after another, Xiao Yang's smile became brighter and more sinister. Meet again. The black mist around Soul Wuji, like a messenger of death, said gloomily. It's a pity that the big explosion in the Devil's Sea didn't kill you. Xiao Yang opened his mouth, and suddenly he swallowed the flame technique, domain, and Buddha's wrath reincarnation. Xiao Yang knew that with his current strength, he would only have one chance against these guys. A sharp-toothed boy, destroying the prince's good deeds. When I capture you, you will definitely not be able to survive or die. For a time, a turbid energy flashed from the old man Lin's body. Chaos system. Try this gift. Without any hesitation, Xiao Yang's palm suddenly lifted, and a beautiful lotus seed composed of 4-color flames blasted towards the black coffin in front of the four people with the momentum of lightning. The kind of fluctuations that actually shocked the hearts of the 3 of the 7-star fighting immortals in the late stage. This guy. He originally wanted to capture Xiao Yang's soul with a destructive force, but he could only shake his head, because now Xiao Yang's attack of destroying everything is directed at the black coffin, and the black coffin is Jinlin Fengya's real a killer weapon that cannot be damaged in any way. Boom. A burst of hot energy ripples, like a volcanic eruption, permeated this dark and cold void. Jointly resist this attack, we must not let it destroy the 4-dragon lock coffin, otherwise once the Emperor's soul returns, we will fall short. You guys stay here, I'll go after him. After a while, Uncle Lin made a sudden cry, his body soared, and he pursued the route of Xiao Yang's escape. Do it. Soul Wuji could only regret it, and the dark mist filled the sky immediately. With it as the main force, it combined the power of the 2 late-stage 7-star fighting immortals to ripple the destructive energy of the Buddha's wrath and slowly resist. Although it was quite easy, it was enough to buy Xiao Yang a lot of time to escape. Cough, cough. The pressure of the 7-star Do's Yan is really strong, and this news must be spread out. Xiao Yang fled quickly, the aura in his body shook violently. It is quite correct to point the attack hall of Buddha's wrath samsara away from the black coffin. Even if these 4 people can easily kill themselves, for the safety of the Emperor's soul, they can only give up the small Guda, and they will have a chance to escape. Simply, Xiao Yang made the right bet. But there is still a late-stage 7-star fighting immortal expert, and this is still an underground palace in any case, it doesn't hold any advantage for me. Chiju's soul-drawing cup? At this moment, it seemed to be pulled by the amber flame soul fire. This treasure with a faint glow of fire escaped from Xiao Yang's acceptance ring, and immediately aflame like the light of dawn. Quietly immediately after submerging into Xiao Yang's spirit palace, the spirit palace suddenly trembled, and the power of the soul rose steadily. It doesn't matter, now I can only be a dead horse and a living horse doctor. As soon as he grasped the Chiju soul tractor, Xiao Yang discovered that the soul power in his body actually surpassed the soul power in the later stage of Taishu and entered to the next level. Although it is only temporary, but with the power of his own 6-star fighting immortal consummation, it is unavoidable to give it a try. If that's the case, let's try it. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Yang directly chose a huge space in the stone wall passage, and the core inscriptions in his body were arranged. He came after the late-stage powerhouse of the 7-star Dozian who was chasing him. With the strength of the late 5-star fighting immortal, he designed an ambush to intercept the late 7-star fighting immortal Uncle Lin. Whether it was successful or not, this courage alone would be enough to cause countless people to sigh. As for Uncle Lin, relying on his being a descendant of Uncle Lin Fengya, with his unique wood attribute in the royal family and the arrogance of the 7-star fighting immortals, he is stepping into the trap that Xiao Yang has set for him. It's just that it's still unknown whether it is Uncle Lin who is the best, or whether Xiao Yang is superior. In the underground palace, there is a crisscross area of narrow stone walls. There is a circular space here, like a circular basin. At this time, the grey stone walls around the space are airtight, and there is a faint trace of it. The looming power squirmed and kept swimming. Strange, why is this brat's power a little weird? On the other side, Uncle Lin also followed the traces of Xiao Yang's escape and came here. Uncle Lin, covered in golden clothes, with the royal aura of arrogance between his brows, surrounded by green aura, his endless aura of life gushing forth like the stars and the sea, in line with his strength in the later stage of the 7-star fighting immortals, can be described as a strategic powerhouse in the Tianqing continent. Don't think about leaving. Just as he stepped into the stonewall space, Uncle Lin snorted coldly, and suddenly a beam of green energy spread out like ripples centered under his feet, completely covering the place with ease. Field. The wood attribute domain, which is full of life aura, is enough to greatly increase the strength of Uncle Lin, and the domain contains an extremely large force of confinement. I am afraid that the power of this domain is confinement. This method, Xiao Yang, is even a wing. It is also difficult to fly. It's good to come. At this moment, Xiao Yang's voice appeared in the space like the sound of the sky, and suddenly, like a meteor shower, flames fell vertically from the top of the space, and roared away at Uncle Lin. Small worm carving trick. Seeing Xiao Yang's blow like this, Uncle Lin sneered, and with a wave of his hand, the green aura turned into flying stars all over the sky, which he easily resisted. Formation. Xiao Yang's voice rang out just after the attack had subsided. Boom. In the green field, a formation completely dominated by amber flames and soul fire directly wrapped Uncle Lin completely. The fierce aura contained in it, even Uncle Lin felt a burst of energy. Chilled. Oh. Formation. The whole body was imprisoned by a special formation composed of amber flames. Uncle Lin watched this scene, but a hint of suspicion flickered at the corner of his mouth. The amber flame on Xiao Yang's body gave him extremely tyrannical oppression. With the addition of the flame-centered formation, this guy's strength should not be underestimated, but the formation pattern of this formation did not reach as many as 70,000. There are more than 60,000 at most, so for Uncle Lin, he is naturally not afraid. Although you have a strange treasure in your body, but now you have met me. I'm not interested in wasting too much time with you and spied on our secrets. It can only end with your fall. Uncle Lin knew Xiao Yang's cunning from Hun Wuji's mouth, so he didn't plan to fighting with it more. The green light on the body is squirming, like a patron saint of nature, standing at a height below zero. The soil and rocks on the ground in the entire field tremble, trees and vines suddenly appear wildly, grow, and faintly the entire space is completely filled. Such a strong breath of life, the power of the wood attribute is prosperous. Crash. With a sound, the formation was like a mechanical gear, making a deafening sound, and then it turned into a terrifying dragon of flames, which shot at Uncle Lin from countless directions. Buy me a little time. Xiao Yang hid in the edge and corner of the formation. The spiritual palace in his body fluctuated violently like a vast ocean, and the Chiju soul-inducing lamp above his palm also seemed to be pulled by something. A trace of strength influx into Xiao Yang's body. Xiao Yang's soul power is still growing. Stop doing indifferent struggles. Even if you are talented, it's a pity that we are the ones who provoke them. In the next life, you will still recognize who you will never be able to offend. This time, Xiao Yang's flame formation was completely smashed by Uncle Lin, and immediately surrounded by countless vines, it was like a predator in the jungle. The king approached Xiao Yang little by little. It's not enough. Seeing Uncle Lin getting closer and closer, beads of sweat the size of peas were dripping from Xiao Yang's forehead, and a deathly death filled his heart. Xiao Yang doesn't know the specific function and efficacy of the Chiju-inducing soul cup, but now with the blessing of this thing, Xiao Yang's soul power has crossed the Taishu late stage in one fell swoop, entered Hua Yuan, and even moved towards Hua Yuan. Midterm burst. The fourth floor of the spiritual palace in the body has been filled by the Chiju spirit cup. At this moment, it is charging away from the fifth floor. Xiao Yang knows that although the sudden soul power is only temporary, it is enough to solve the current predicament, because Uncle Lin's soul power has not even reached the Fairyland. If his soul power reaches the middle stage of Hua Yuan, I am afraid that it may really cause a situation of one-hit kill. Die. Seeing Xiao Yang holding a strange lamp in the palm of his hand, Uncle Lin's mouth was full of excitement. Xiao Yang was covered in treasures. Soul, ascending to the sky. In an instant, Xiao Yang's pupils turned pale, as if he was absent-minded and stagnant, and at the same time, the five-layered spiritual palace in Xiao Yang's body, like an unparalleled mountain range, appeared on top of Xiao Yang's head. An indescribable aura of life and death permeates the entire wood attribute field. Not good. Uncle Lin was less than 10 meters away from Xiao Yang at this time. He originally thought that Xiao Yang was dying just to survive and wait for his death, but how could he have thought that Xiao Yang was so bold and careful now that the close distance was positive? After taking Xiao Yang's blow, he will not die or be disabled. Boom! An extremely strange cry erupted from the soul mountain above Xiao Yang's head, and an invisible energy ripple spread violently. For a time, the wood property field suddenly shattered, and even the countless trees and vines in the space dissipated. The corner of Lin Wangshu's mouth seemed to be torn apart by a hurricane. Severely injured. Even in the pupils, a surrounding gaze emerged, and the breath of the whole body was already disordered. At the last moment, just when the soul ripples were about to completely engulf Uncle Lin, a beautiful jade pendant suddenly shattered on his body, and an extremely good power swept up on the shattered body, surrounding him. Resisting Xiao Yang's soul attack was miscalculated. Xiao Yang's breath was sluggish at this time, and he immediately shook his head when he saw this scene, and then his body wriggled and ran away directly. Little beast, this king must flay you and cramp your muscles as a sacrifice for my injury trip. A roar shook the 9 days. Such a terrifying soul attack. Even though Xiao Yang had already left the stone wall passage, he could feel the fierce energy contained in it, and it was definitely not something that ordinary powerhouses could resist. If Uncle Lin didn't have the jade pendant that was specially designed to defend against soul attacks, Xiao Yang would have enough confidence that the blow just now was enough to kill him directly. It's a pity. But even so, Xiao Yang's blow just now caused unhealable wounds to Uncle Lin. In the future, this guy's strength will be full of diligence. Come on, search me. This little beast has no strength, and his seriously injured body must still be in the underground palace. Live to see people, die to see corpses. Uncle Lin roared at the other stone walls, and dozens of guards appeared in response. At this moment, the alert and patrol of the entire underground palace became even more severe, and Xiao Yang, who was seriously injured, had obviously reached the point where the lights were running out. He wondered if he could escape the underground palace and tell the princess about Lin Fengya's conspiracies and ambitions. Just when Xiao Yang went deep into the tiger's den, there were other places. Strange, why can't the soul imprint on Lord Xiao Yang be connected? In the profound sky city in the profound sky mountains, in an inn that is very close to the imperial palace, Lin Hao opened the window and looked at the imperial palace not far away. Courtyard, muttered. As early as when the two acted separately, they left their respective soul powers to use to pass on news, but now Lin Hao tried to contact Xiao Yang, but there was no news, plus Lin Hao's many concerns, frowned for a while. I can't wait like this any longer. This matter must be reported to the princess. Standing at the edge of the inn, looking at the silent palace compound, Lin Hao's body disappeared and went directly to their base camp. This kind of thing must be told as soon as possible. Princess, and since the two moved apart, Lin Hao felt uneasy, fearing that something major would happen. This underground palace is probably thousands of meters below Tianxian City, and there are extremely tyrannical confinement on the surrounding stone walls. Even if I use the fire of holy flame as the explosion point, I'm afraid I won't be able to fall off. Xiao Yang kept avoiding the surrounding the strong man's pursuit, but the soul power of this body is like a depleted spring, and the aura in the body is even more sluggish. Any ordinary 5-star fighting immortal is enough to obliterate Xiao Yang. Go and see here. There are too many passages, and I don't know why the big man above is so angry. A number of powerful patrol guards kept patrolling, but they did not find Xiao Yang. After all, the underground palace here, except for the real Prince Lin Fengya's bedroom, is almost as dense as a honeycomb. Even Lin Fengya himself doesn't know much about it. This also allows Xiao Yang to constantly avoid pursuit. In the underground palace, in the prince's bedroom, a luxurious house completely paved with cobblestones appeared here. At this time, 5 people stood in the house one after another. The leader of the 5 was Lin Fengya, who was sitting in a wheelchair. At this time, he looked at the 4 men in front of him with cold eyes, his face full of resentment, and a wave of anger buried in his heart. 4 7-star fighting immortals besieged a 5-star fighting immortal waste. Even if he had the ability to reach the sky, he could not escape death, but the fact was right in front of him. Xiao Yang actually escaped from the hands of the 4 strong men, ran away. A 5-star fighting immortal escaped from the hands of 4 7-star fighting immortals, and this courage alone may cause countless people to sigh. Prince, forget it, we can't blame us for this. After all, that guy is extremely cunning. At the last moment, he attacked the 4 dragon corpses with all his strength. In order to protect the dragon corpses, the 3 of us had to send Uncle Lin to track them down. Sol Wuji sneered and excused himself. Seeing this, Uncle Lin, who was beside him, threw a trace of gratitude towards Hun Wuji under the black robe. There are still a few days before the final step will be taken. After the event is completed, this world will crawl under our feet, but I have to remind you once again that we are now fish on a boat, and I don't want any of them to have something damaging to the collective happens. Uncle Lin, Xiao Yang's affairs are left to you. Even if you can't arrest him, you must not let him leave the underground palace. That's it. Lin Fengya thought for a while, and then snorted coldly. Yes. The 4 of them went down after hearing the words. This is that guy's breath tracking, I'll leave it to you. After just leaving the palace, Sol Wuji quietly followed Uncle Lin, and then a wisp of emptiness of soul power appeared on the palm of his hand. This is a trace of Xiao Yang's weak soul power, and I don't know how Sol Wuji collected it, but with this thing, it is indeed possible to find Xiao Yang. Thank you very much. Uncle Lin heard the words, his eyes were staring at Venus, and he laughed. With this thing, he can find Xiao Yang in the huge hive of the underground palace, and then he can be ashamed. No thanks, everyone is allies. Sol Wuji gloomily dropped a sentence with deep meaning, and immediately hid in the darkness. Are you allies? It's strange that the prince said that you must beware of these soul hall guys. Uncle Lin shook his head helplessly, but the faint soul power of Xiao Yang in his hand had already slowly sensed Xiao Yang's position. Get close to it. What a bunch of idiots. Our soul hall supreme gathers the power of faith, although I can't use it, but I can collect the lost souls from a large number of dead humans after the battle. That kind of huge scene is ecstatic. The amount of soul strength is also a great help for me. Uncle Lin. Just an idiot with no strength. Xiao Yang not only has the holy flame, but even some power of the princess. Let you try it, the so-called power of the stars in the princess. What kind of tyranny is it? Susu. Sol Wuji, who concealed the darkness, sneered. As for the spiritual light that recorded Xiao Yang's faint breath just now, it was not easy for him to collect, but compared to what he was going to do next, it was simply a drop in the bucket. What's going on? Xiao Yang walked back and forth, and his injuries were barely stabilized, but he would definitely not be able to fight for a short time. At this time, he only felt that the underground palace was shaking, and it seemed that some tyrannical creature was attacking him. Uncle Lin. Xiao Yang suddenly lost his voice when he saw a majestic figure sitting quietly in the void in front of him when he walked out of the stone wall passage. Little bastard, this time, I'll see where you're going. This time, Uncle Lin's wood property field was spreading all over his body. A dignified depression made Xiao Yang breathless. Obviously, the previous blow had completely provoked him. Angered Uncle Lin, and now that he is meeting Indu, he will naturally go all out. This old fox. At this moment, Xiao Yang's body burst out with awe, and he stood proudly in the space as if he was dying. Wooden realm, Muteng dimension palm. Seeing that Xiao Yang had nowhere to go, Uncle Lin sneered, and the dazzling green aura all over his body gathered towards his palm, and there were countless lush breath carriers in the realm, an indescribable burst of energy. The annihilating breath turned into a wood-like green palm and roared away at Xiao Yang. Wong buzzing. Just when Xiao Yang was about to go all out, the void behind Xiao Yang trembled uncontrollably, and immediately the entire field filled with green energy was suddenly completely swallowed by the void behind Xiao Yang. For a moment, a special field that was as bright and vast as a starry sky spread out from behind Xiao Yang. That kind of power is like a sea of stars, dark and cold and full of endless mystery, which makes it look incomparably tall. Even with the power of Uncle Lin in the late stage of the 7 stars fighting immortals, it is as small as a star in front of him. Lin Yunshu? Seeing this sudden scene, Uncle Lin's pupils shrank tightly, and then roared. Broken. A coquettish anger sounded like a goddess who traveled in the 9 heavens was sentenced to death. Suddenly, the deep starry sky swayed gently, countless stars were looming, and Uncle Lin's attack was directly swallowed by it. Let's go. At will, Uncle Lin's attack was erased, and a coquettish voice emerged, and the stars in the sky turned into a slender hand, which pushed Xiao Yang into the void, closed it, and disappeared here. Lin Yunshu. Xiao Yang. Watching this scene, Uncle Lin's pupils were filled with a frantic look, roaring like a beast who had fallen into madness. The roar echoed for a long time, but it was only Uncle Lin, and the spying was finally over, and the next step was the most important election. In this star continent, I am afraid that because of this election, the real sense will change. This video will end here.